This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey guys, Bob Furious Cameron Saturn here, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and CastBox, Google Podcasts, and everything in between. Every Wednesday, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., alongside Scooter Dust.
What is up?
And it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the unorthodox by Furious Cameron Saturn.
Howdy there, everybody.
Well, good. How are you?
Oh, I'm living the dream.
Alright, could you tell us what you got coming up next?
Yeah, so by the time that this goes up, I will have just got back from New Jersey and New Hampshire, as Miles and I just went to Jersey for Northern Federation of Wrestling and New Hampshire for Wrestle Crewdom. And then this weekend coming up, we will have Paradigm Kick in the Door, I believe is the name of the show. And then New Wave Pros Pyramid of Bones. That'll be at the Friday and then the Saturday, respectively. And it'll be a great time. I think we have double title defenses that weekend.
Interesting. And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise if you got it?
So for my social media, everything is just at Saturn Cameron. On Facebook, Cameron Saturn. And then for merchandise, Brainbuster Tees, Cameron Saturn.
Alright, and all of those links will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and CastBox, you can simply click the link and you will be at those where you need to be. Alright, now let's start off with a good one. Can you tell us about your partners in Shooters Don't Die?
Yeah.
Don't Die Miles, Ron Bass, Freddie Hudson, and what is a pet peeve about them that you don't understand?
A pet peeve that I don't understand about them?
Yes, your relationship with them, and then a pet peeve.
So, I'd say out of everybody, I'm closest with Miles. We actually currently live together. We just moved in together end of June, beginning of July. So that's been a really fun experience. I'd say I'm probably next closest with Ron. We have a lot of phone talks with him being in Florida, but it always feels like big brother. All of them do. But I'd say I'm the least close with Freddie, but Freddie works a lot, so it's like, hey, I understand it. You gotta get your money. I'd say the pet peeves kind of go in that order. Also, for Miles, love him to death. We live together, and it's like that's always a little fun thing to deal with. And we actually break away from that really quick. We went to a trampoline park recently. Actually, it was yesterday, as of the time of this recording. And while we were there, we were just doing wrestling spots and freaking all the kids out, and it was a fun time. It's not necessarily a pet peeve, I guess. It's kind of a really positive way to look at it, but it's certainly a lot at times living with people going from. This is actually my first time living with any sort of friends or anything like that, so that's neat. With Braun, I'd say it's the distance and just not really ever being able to be around them. And I guess I'd apply to Freddie too, with both of them just being adults. It sucks, but I mean, it's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there was Dalton Davis. You talked with him. And
Yes.
he was supposedly a trial member of Pseudos Don't Die. Could you tell us, is he going to be a part of the group, or has the trial era ended? The trial period.
So, the trial period, I would say, is not over. The one match we did get to have together didn't necessarily give us the opportunity to work together like we would want to. So we're gonna hopefully get to try it again and see how he pairs up with everybody else. And we'll see if we'll assimilate him into the group.
All right. Scudo, you have a question.
Yes, and I have to ask this because in my research, one other name kept coming up, but I couldn't find any direct connection. What relation is Tanner to you?
Okay, so Tanner is actually my biological brother.
Okay.
Came from the same mom. Lived together up until I just recently moved. But yeah, no, that's my actual little brother.
And you've stepped away from Supreme for quite some time, and he's kind of filled the role of, at least there's a Saturn, but there's also Saturn Price, but there's so many Saturns.
Yes.
But he's only 15, 16?
15 years old. Turned 16 actually the 7th, which would be right after or right before the show or this premieres.
And he's currently the Supreme is it junior lightweight or junior heavyweight champion.
I think it's light heavyweight.
And I believe that makes him the youngest champion in independent wrestling history.
Unaware to my knowledge.
Well, I just wanted to get some clarification on that. Now, from my research, you're clearly a Scott Pilgrim fan.
Yes.
Who was your favorite character from the comics and the movie? Naturally, I believe you get the Bi-Furious line from Roxy.
Yes. I have a little bit of inspiration, is the polite word for it. Theft is more of a blatant description of it. But yeah, very. I've always enjoyed Scott Pilgrim. I haven't been able to get my hands on a physical version of the comics, so I can't speak on that aspect yet. But I would have to say Scott. I know it's a generic answer, but it's such a relatable character, and it's so well written in the movie. I can't help but enjoy.
Have you played the game?
I almost bought it here recently, while it was on sale because of I played on Xbox and it was like Game Pass or something, but I ended up not picking it up.
All right, James.
Yeah, how about we stick on, having your brother in the same profession as you? What are
Go for it.
Like the benefits and disadvantages of having, another family member in the same business?
I think it's a good question. I think for the advantages, it's really nice to kind of be able to mentor and talk to him about wrestling. and kind of share like my viewpoint, however weird or skewed it may be at times. But I think being able to have somebody so close that can provide a perspective, excuse me, on wrestling in any sort of other viewpoint is really beneficial, especially when you're early on and you don't really know what direction you want to take, how you want to be in the ring. So being able to have any sort of thing to hold on to, I believe, is like a really good thing. And for disadvantages, kind of like the same pet peeves is like being around Miles too much. It's like, it's my brother. Sometimes I just want to get away. But like, hey, I'm glad that he's found something that he enjoys, and I'm really honored to be able to share that with him.
Now, if you were to tag team, would you be the supporter of Big Brother, or would you be fall in line Roman Reigns' brother?
If I'm limited to those two, I would be the support of Big Brother. However, I think a third role would be more fitting.
Ooh, what's the third role?
I would bring it along the lines of kind of what the dynamic mirrors in real life, where it's just kind of like oh, you're here too. Okay, cool. What are we gonna do now? It's kind of one of those like flying by the seat of our pants things, because that's very much how it is in wrestling. Sometimes you just gotta go, whether you know what's going on or not.
I just get this picture in my head of your brother going, be sure to take your little brother along to wrestling and you teach him everything you do. I don't know why I'm making your mother sound like a Jewish yenta. That's just the voice
okay.
to do.
It'd definitely be almost like sitcom vibes, where it's just like, oh, the boys head off to a hybrid championship wrestling, and the hijinks ensue.
Now, you are Saturn, and there is a very other famous Saturn out there, Perry Saturn.
Yes.
Was there any correlations? Have you had any interactions with him? Has anybody, like any promoters, wanted you to be billed as like Saturn's son? Which sounds like really cool now, Saturn's son. Anything on Perry Saturn?
So outside of growing up watching Perry in both ECW and WWE, I didn't really have any sort of connection to him with the name. Outside of the fact that like when I heard it, I was like, oh, it's very unique, and I hadn't heard anything since with that sort of lineage of the name. So it's in terms of like the choice of the name, it is not necessarily correlated, but inspired by, because I haven't professionally gotten to meet him or anything like that, or have any sort of professional interaction outside of just being a fan.
Okay. Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. Now, I've recently gotten into a specific video game, and I have seen you wearing a certain sweatshirt with a certain raccoon on it by the name of Tom Nook.
Oh, yes.
Are you an Animal Crossing fan?
So I am. However, I recently switched from the regular Nintendo Switch to the OLED model. I transferred everything over. I was like, okay, sweet. Had no clue that you had to separately transfer your Animal Crossing island.
Oh no.
So yeah, traded away my Switch, booted up Animal Crossing like a week or two later, thinking like, sweet, I'm ready to see how this looks on the OLED, and it's like, do you want to start a new island? And I'm like, why would I want to start a new island? I've spent all this time on my other island. They're like, well, we don't have one. I'm like, no. So.
Oh my
God.
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
was heartbroken, and I haven't had the heart to start another island since. I've been
Ah.
very boohoo about it.
Well, okay. Well, maybe I can get you to remember a couple of things because I literally started playing the game a little less than 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was your island's name?
Madison, and then it was a colon and a parenthesis, so they made a frowny face.
I love that. What was your island's native fruit and flower?
The native fruit was, I think I got peaches. I'm pretty sure it was peaches.
Everybody
And
else
then,
man.
and then the flower, I can't remember.
Ah. Okay. Who is your? If you can remember the villagers, who was the most annoying villager?
I had an anteater. I can't remember the name.
Oh my god!
That's not the
was like-
first time we had that answer.
And
way!
yeah, I also have an anteater on
It's the
my
famous
island.
one, right?
Yeah. Her name is Annabelle.
I believe that's the same one. I'm not.
I
My brain's rattled.
I also have two female gorillas as well. Okay. Did you ever use the turnip glitch to get unlimited bells?
So Animal Crossing is one of the ones where it's like I want to use glitches and exploits, and then I'm like, every other game I've used glitches and exploits on, I just stopped playing after because I've done everything. I recently, not recently really, when it came out, Cyberpunk had a duplication glitch
Yep.
where you could get an infinite monetary, I can't remember the exact name of the thing. And
If that was the
I-
only glitch Cyberpunk had.
no, yeah, that was the only one. Crazy, but great game.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember after I got all of it and like bought all the upgrades and everything that I wanted to get, like all the augmentation, I was like, I don't really have anything else to do now. I kind of did it all, so I was like, And I didn't want to have that same thing with Animal Crossing and ruin the experience of like, for me at least, of coming back daily and being like, okay, sweet, making progress by progress.
Did you design your island's tune to be something well known? Because mine is the main Star Wars theme.
No, I didn't. I thought about doing it, and I would always think about it, and then I'd think, I want to do this, and then by the time I start playing, I completely forgot, and I just never ended up doing one.
Okay, and the last Animal Crossing question I will ask, and we'll bring it back to wrestling with this.
Okay.
Did you get all the in-game lucha masks, wrestling figurines, and wrestling-related clothing items? And did you have did you get the complete boxing/wrestling ring?
I did not. I was making very slow progress with Animal Crossing. I was not able to get nearly any of that done.
All right. Well, if you ever want to get back into Animal Crossing, I'd be willing to provide you with a loan with a very low rate of 30% interest. No.
Okay.
I have more bells than I know what to do with now because people would just not stop giving me. So either way, if you ever get back into Animal Crossing, let me or James know. I'll give you my friend code, and I can. You can come over and visit the island of Ahava, which means love in Hebrew.
I look forward to it.
Awesome, James. Over to you.
All right. Since we're already on the subject of video games, can you tell us about your love of Kojima games?
Oh wow. Wow, that's a that's a really good one. That really caught me off guard. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 is one of my favorite video games of all time. I remember it was one of like the very first games I remember like getting and like actually sinking my teeth into, uh, along with San Andreas at the same time. And I was very upset that I didn't have a memory card because I'd always go through and beat the tanker chapter, and I'd get like part way through the plant chapter and just simply couldn't make it through because I didn't understand how large it was
Yeah.
in the beginning. So it's like I literally went like probably 8-9 years of trying to play it without understanding what was going on. And by the time that like I was getting near the end of high school, like I finally like everything clicked and I was able to go through Metal Gear Solid 2 and then was able to play through 3. I got 1 and got to the Vulcan Raven fight and got stuck. And then I had a PlayStation 4 for a very short period of time, and I wanted to get Metal Gear Solid 4 to experience that, and also Death Stranding, but I wasn't able to. And then I picked up with the Phantom Pain, and oh gosh, so many hours of playing that game, like hundreds. It never ends, and they're always adding stuff to the mother base like system and the forward operating bases and all that, and then there's all the online stuff, and it's just forever going.
There you are.
Everything all right?
Yeah, I don't know. You just dropped out for no reason.
Yeah, it said that you both left the thing, and then it just kicked me off. So I was like, I don't know what's up. I'll try and join back in.
Oh, that's weird.
Must be Psycho Manus or something. But yeah, really enjoy Kojima games. I really love his combination of like film directing and video game, just as like another form of art media. I really enjoy storytelling and things like that. So it's always really fun to deep dive into all the lore and the story and every little bit and piece that Kojima places throughout the video games.
Oh yeah, and that's something that's really lacking in video games nowadays. Is it's only multiplayer. Just battle royal type multiplayer. I like storylines. I like games.
Boo. I'm the same way. One of the projects I'm kind of keeping a really close eye on is the Skate 4, now being rebranded as just Skate, which had originally been like single player and multiplayer. You could like play online with like friends, like skate spots, but like there's always like a story mode, and they're doing it now, and it looks amazing, but it's free to play, and it's always online, and I'm like, oh please no. This was one of my favorite single player games of all time. Why does everything have to be always online with everybody?
Yeah, and especially when your Wi-Fi is being a little frustrating and you can't upload your last save file, and then you have to go and literally play something else that doesn't require an internet connection because you can't get the Wi-Fi to work.
Yes, terrible internet was the bane of my existence, pretty much until moving here. And it was just like, it would take me a couple days to do like an update for something. It'd be a couple gigabytes, and then I'd let it update, and by the time I go back to play it, I'm like, all right, sweet, let's play it, and it's like, yeah, there's another update, and I'm like, jeez. I don't even want to mess with it now.
I'm curious, do you have the Master Chief Collection?
I did for a short period of time. I uninstalled it to make room for other games, but I had it and I went through and I replayed 3 and 2, and then I replayed 1, but on the HD setting instead of just the original graphics.
Yeah.
So those are really fun.
No. I'll continue.
Oh no, sorry. I was just say my favorite was Reach out of all of them. and
Now
I
you're speaking to
at
the
the time
choir.
that I played, huh?
Now you're speaking to the choir. That's my favorite as well.
Yes. Um, they at the time they didn't have it on the Master Chief Collection. I believe it's on there now.
Yes.
But I remember that was the very first game that like I played online, and that I played competitively online, not as in like all the way level of like professional or anything like that. But like I definitely remember like making it a big deal to play as often as I could, and to like try and get into lobbies with like that I knew that were like quote unquote better players,
Yeah.
and see what I could do. And man, I was terrible, but I was having a great time.
No, I asked that because like the Master Chief Collection had the longest wait time when it came to uploading the game. And
Yes.
it took me like 2 days to download the whole game.
Yeah, because it's a beast. It's over like what 100 gigabytes, I believe they have it.
Something like that. I mean, it's just
Be-
massive.
Because I might be wrong. I believe like Reach and ODST, or I believe just Reach is considered like a DLC pack, so you have to download it separate.
Right.
But like all the other games, you have to download all at once. And I'm like, what if I just want to play Halo 1 right now? That's all I have space for.
Yeah.
Because it's like the Call of Duty franchise, which as streamlined as it's become, has at least solved that optimization problem for storage, where you can have like just multiplayer installed, or just zombies, or just the campaign, or just Spec Ops. And I think that's important for games to be able to do moving forward.
See, that's the thing about PlayStation. Is that you'll have the whole download, but there will be a certain checkpoint or milestone based on the download. It's usually something like 33% of the way, where you could start playing the basic game. You get started and everything. So
Xbox has that too, but then you can't. It's only like the loading screen.
Yeah, pretty much. There's not much usually ever, and then if you're downloading it, Xbox does this weird thing where if you have a game running, it actively caps your download speed to like less than 1 megabit per second. So you're essentially just tripling your download time by playing it while trying to download it.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright. Scooter, you have a question.
Okay. Before I go into this, have you seen American Psycho?
I actually have not. I've been requested to view it very frequently. I know.
And I'm gonna assume you know the reason why. I'm gonna do this anyway.
I'm sure.
Do you like Phil Collins? I've been a big Genesis fan ever since the release of their 1980 album Duke. Before that, I didn't really understand any of their work. Too artsy, too intellectual. It was on Duke where Phil Collins' presence became more apparent. I think Invisible Touch was the group's undisputed masterpiece. It's an epic meditation on intangibility. Phil Collins' solo career seems to be more commercial and therefore more satisfying in a narrower way, especially songs like In the Air Tonight and Against All Odds. Do you think Phil Collins works best within the confines of the group than a solo artist? And how big is... No, never mind. Why Against All Odds?
Oh my goodness. I assume that's all from American Psycho?
Yes, except for the how big is, and of course I don't take an axe to your skull and go, "Hey, Paul!"
Yeah, I appreciate that. The confines of digital media has saved me this day.
Yeah, so, why in particular,
In the Air Tonight?
It's In the Air Tonight. I said Against All Odds. I'm an idiot.
No, you're good.
Yes, why In the Air Tonight?
So, a lot of the things with me in wrestling tend to come back to, what can I do different? I originally, I broke away from the tag team that I was in, where I was a very Southern heel. Wasn't really like much of anybody. I just was kind of in a tag team doing tag team moves. And I broke away and started doing single stuff before joining Shooters Don't Die. And I'm like experimenting with different things. And I'm like, oh man, I really don't know what I want to do. And then I first tried to pick Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles. And I was really digging it for a moment. And then I was like, this isn't like, I know people hear this and get the, oh my God, this song again. And I'm like, what's something that will provide that level of like, oh, I love this song. I haven't heard it in forever. But that also works as like a good wrestling theme that isn't already used. And I'm like, what if I pick a song that just is too long to be used, chop it up and use it? And sure enough, In the Air Tonight came through. I remember always playing, I believe it was 2K 13, 14 on my Xbox 360, and that was on the soundtrack. And I can remember just laying down on my bed, just belting it out, having a good time with that. And I was like, I'm gonna just take that moment and bring that into wrestling and see how it works. And it, I believe, has worked pretty well so far. It's always very fun to see people in the crowd hitting the drum solo with me before I hit that. Yeah, it's my favorite part. I'm like, oh, sweet. I get so pumped every time.
I think it's everybody's favorite part.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna use it as the, like, they're gonna be like, oh, I love this song, even if I hate this guy, I love this song. So hey, contingency plan.
All right. I think that's a great segue into the segment. The colossal question.
Okay.
They decided to make a movie about Cameron Saturn. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on the Cameron Saturn wrestling career soundtrack up to this point?
Oh Lord. Wow. Man. Up to this point, I think the very first song we have to put on there is Bush by Machine Head, only because it was my very first theme when I still had a mask on and was Cara de Supremo. And it's a very formative song for that time period. And it's like, I can't hear it now without thinking, oh, gotta go sprint to the curtain and make sure I don't say anything, and so that they don't know that I'm not a real luchador.
No habla inglés.
Yeah, broken English, Spanish English, and yeah, yes.
I only speak 2 languages: English and bad English.
Yes, exactly. And then track 2. I don't want to be generic and just say themes. Gosh. Wow.
If you need a little bit more time to think, we could move on to another question.
Yeah, let's do that, and I'll let this percolate in the back of my mind for a moment.
But why don't you tell us about working under a mask at the beginning of your career?
Yeah. So I had a couple different mask gimmicks where I wore like I've just been like masked bruiser guy number 73 who goes out there and gets his tuchus kicked in, and then I was generic guy who wore. Generic babyface good guy who wore a white and orange mask that had like a mohawk in the style of like a dragon's tail almost, and also not streamers, like fringe almost. I'm doing a very poor job of explaining this, but hanging down from the neck, and there was a lot of gold highlights on it. And that was like the first part of Cara de Supremo. And then I lost a Loser Leaves Town match and came back the next week in a different mask as Supremo Del Cara and pretended to be just completely different. And instead of speaking poor English and poor Spanish, now I didn't speak at all. And we used a whiteboard, and a guy that I was originally going to team with, his name's Aaron Abbott. He somehow understood what I would say, and like I just whisper in his ear, and then he'd be like, "No, he said he's going to kick your butt and win," and stuff like that. And it was a hoot. I think the worst mask that I had to do was the the gimmick's name was Red Dragon, and it was a mask that was essentially, it was just a generic mask, but it was the mesh that covered the eyes. I could barely see out of because it just wasn't super high quality. So I'm like struggling, and I'm swimming in this mask because it's meant for wrestlers much larger than I. And it just would continuously fall down. And I remember struggling through matches in a spandex long sleeve shirt with big pleather pants, like Tajiri, but with a t-shirt on, and this mask that did not fit, doing matches basically in the dark, hoping to God I get to the end of it without embarrassing myself, because I was still so young and had very little skill isn't a good word, but ability to wrestle.
It's interesting you brought up Red Dragon, because I think Anna Diaz walked under a mask with the same name.
I'm sure that there is a vast number of like Red Dragon gimmicks. I know specifically at Supreme, I was not the only person to reprise the role of Red Dragon. So it's very much like, it's like the beauty of like some Lucha gimmicks is just anybody could play the part. It doesn't necessarily mean that like it's the same wrestling, but like that like the character of it is iconic enough to be portrayed multiple times. I believe is pretty interesting.
Yeah. And was it your idea to walk under a mask? Was it the promotion? Was you not quite ready to, walk non-masked? What was the reasoning?
So it was out of my control. It was one of those like, this is going to be a good way to get reps in and to get used to wrestling without going out there and ruining Cameron Saturn's image by being a poor wrestler who couldn't do anything and would lose everything. So we're gonna put you out there in a mask, and you're just gonna do all that but under a mask so that nobody knows it's you.
Okay.
And yeah, it was one of those like kind of like a learning experience, but like an internship almost for wrestling. Like, yes, I was learning, but I wasn't me at the time. I just was able to be somebody else so that it didn't interfere, so to say.
Okay. Scooter, you have a question.
I'll Burger King your face, James. Have you possibly thought of any songs for the Colossal Question?
Yes. So, coming back to that, Triple X or just XXX featuring U2 by Kendrick Lamar, ended up being a song that I did make a highlight video to, but it's a very like, I feel like that song I associate with the time frame of like really understanding that Cameron Saturn's just weird. Like, I'm just an unorthodox dude. Like, it's just doing things my way and kind of making that route for myself that hasn't been made yet kind of really resonates to me. And all of that was kind of discovered like around the time I was really deeply into that song. So I would include that as kind of like more of like we're getting right there towards the climax, which the climax is me peaking and probably jumping off of something a little too high and getting a little too hurt doing it. But yeah, we'll have to go with that. And
You need one.
I don't have a third yet. Yeah, I don't have a third yet. I'll have to come back to it. I'm sorry.
No worries. Alright, now you was on QWI's top 200. You was one
Yes.
of 7. What does
Yes.
that mean to you, and what does that tell you about where you are currently in the wrestling world?
For me, it was like a really big deal. I think it was the first time I'd really seen myself be recognized on a level outside of like people that personally knew me, or like for promotions that I've worked at. And it was like the first time I felt like my work was recognized as like good. I'm having a really hard time bringing this to words, but essentially it was very like humbling to be like, wow, out of a list of 200 people, like I was 107, and to be recognized as like one of the prominent like queer wrestlers, even so young on in my career, was really like I was just very appreciative of it. It's something that like, as you know, getting into it, and you're like I don't know where wrestling's going to take me or what I'm going to do with it, but like this is the kind of stuff you're like, I hope that I'm on a list one day. I hope that like I can be recognized for my work, and that like I'm able to put out a body of work good enough to be appreciated like that. And it was very inspiring to like feel like it's, hey, I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? I got to keep doing what I'm doing and elevating my abilities to the best that I can, and just keep getting out there, and especially being able to do it for a group of people, especially in wrestling, I believe is very necessarily unfairly treated at times and discriminated against. So being able to do that and be able to represent that, it really means a lot to me. Like there's a lot of hot button issue. There's a lot of wrestlers who get booked because they're queer wrestlers, and it's like, well, are you trying to make yourself look better by booking queer talent, or are you booking the talent because they're good and you know that they'll put on that they're good wrestlers and that they will perform well for you? And I believe that needs to be kind of called in question sometimes, because there's a lot of times it's just promotions will book for the look of like, hey man, we're doing it, and not because they view the wrestlers as good wrestlers, which we are. Like we're kick-ass wrestlers regardless of our orientation sexually, or whether or not we are trans or cis. Like it's really important to be able to, I don't know, push that and just be able to appreciate that as a whole. I don't know. I'm rambling. I apologize.
Is there, being on the list, is there a specific number you'd like to get to next round when they announce the next list?
I would like to be top 50. I would like to reach a point where I'm in the top 50. I think it's definitely achievable, especially with the work Miles and I have been doing in the Indiana area, and Freddie and I have been doing, and now where I've now gotten to wrestle in Vegas, and I did Colorado recently, and of course New Hampshire, New Jersey, getting out and doing all these things. Like I would like to be able to be good enough to be in the top 50 and to be considered for that. I think that'd be a good benchmark to aim for.
And have we gotten our third song?
Gosh, I am terrible. Man, I'm just gonna have to go with All Right by Kendrick Lamar. I hate to use two by the same artist, but Kendrick really is such a prolific artist to me that I can't help but enjoy All Right for all that it's like represented for me in the wrestling, and with it being kind of like almost like the bond I share with Freddie and with Miles and with Ron and with Dalton, being able to come out to that song and just have it be a very uplifting and just energetic aspect of it, and letting all that come together, I believe, is important. And the story of Cameron Saturn, so to say, having that moment of just jubilation before going through the curtain, getting pumped up, and just getting in the element.
Now, 3 great songs. Do you lock them in?
Oh Lord, for forever? No, not for forever. But for the purposes of this interview, I'm gonna have to, because I could probably be here for the next couple hours, just thumb sitting on my thumb, wondering what next, what other songs I could pick. Because
we could always you could always DM me after the interview if you think of something else, and
I got you. I'll send in an audio clip that we can just overlay over what I said before, so that it just looks like I just said it live, and it won't be a big deal. I got it.
All right. Now you are a member of the Big Stocks brand. Can you tell us about how that came about in your relationship with Billy and Mouse?
So yeah, I actually was able to kind of be around them a lot sooner on in my career than I thought I would get to. Because like I still, even now, like I see Billy and Mouse as like stars, which Mouse would shut me down, and so would Billy for saying it. But gosh, you can't deny Bill's talent and all that she's able to do. And same with Mouse, his photography is amazing. For a guy who thinks he isn't anything, he's pretty good at what he does.
Space Joseph.
And go ahead, sorry.
No, I just said Space Joseph.
Yes. Yeah. It's really, that's kind of where everything picks up, is his photography. Because I actually lived, or at the time, I had lived not too far from where they're stationed, and was going to go out there with my former tag team partner at the time to get promo photos done. Like, this is the first time we're going to get real promos done, and it's sadly one of the only times I've gotten real promos done. So I still use pictures from that that time that we met. But there, it was myself, Adam Slade, and Mouse in their garage doing the photos. And I had recently gotten the BSP Pride shirt, which I actually have hanging in my closet now. And I used that shirt to come out, and like, I let them know like how, like, I don't know, it was really a big moment to be able to share that, and especially be able to do it through the Big Starks brand, even as like a fan at the time. And was able to talk with Mouse and Bill, hang out with Mouse and Bill for a bit about and just talk about wrestling and really getting out there, getting in cars, and like what steps I needed to do to like take this to the next level. And really, it was like that conversation with them that kind of led me to just being like, all right, here's what's going on with like the personal issues I'm having in this. All right, let me leave that, go out there, get in cars. I started hanging out with Miles, Freddie, started getting in cars with Miles Garvin Beef. Just trying to get out there, and like it was, and also cars with Cole and Bill. Like, I remember getting to go with Billy and Cole to Battle Bowl weekend for JCW in Jersey, and that like opened my eyes. It's like, holy cow, the world of wrestling is very large.
Yes.
And it's very achievable to like with time and work to just get to this level or get to those levels. And they kind of lit that fire in me, and it got me involved with, got me started running with shooters, and got me in at like places like New Wave, Paradigm, like, and just really giving me a place to leap from and kind of start trying to fly on my own. And I really appreciate them for that. And all of that happening at once was just kind of like the, hey, you want an armband? I'm like, okay. It's like, cool. Message the kid's mom. All right, got it. Everything was done, and that was it. And then now I've got the By Furious armband, and we've got a knee sleeve, and that's that. It's been it's crazy to be a part of it. I mean, everybody and their mother is, but hey, it's fun. It's great.
It's kind of like Big Stock's banner is like low-key Bullet Club famous at this point.
In the world of independent wrestling, I would say definitely. Like, you have people on everywhere from national television to tapings with no people, like all crowd sizes, all around the world, like Cole's part of it, and Abe's just in England performing, and like, of course, like Mike Bennett and all he gets to do, and seeing like Lee and Top Flight representing, and it just grows, and it's crazy to see on such like a level, as somebody who, when I first got into it, saw it like as like a very like niche isn't the right word, but like the world of wrestling to me seemed very small, and like I didn't know anything about Big Stark's brand at the time, so it was just like I never knew that it was as huge as it is, and it's crazy. I'm really proud to be a part of that. Like, I think it's really neat. Another one of those things where it's like, wow, it really feels like I'm doing something if I'm able to be a part of these things.
Okay. Scooter, you have a question.
All right. I'm honestly wondering, have you really never lost a game of Uno in your life?
To my memory, I have not. However, the number of Uno games that I have played in my memorable lifespan is like 3. So it is kind of a little bit of a hollow record to stand on. But hey, 3 for 3 is better than 0 of 3.
So you got that Brock Lesnar booking when it comes to Uno.
Oh yeah, part-timer. Show up, cause havoc, leave, get paid. Bring a tractor the next game of Uno. Get the whole table over.
Can you tell us about your conversations with a 4-year-old?
Oh my goodness, yes. So, my partner has 2 kids, and they're not mine, but of course, being in a relationship, you kind of take on like the step-parent roles.
Right.
And so, a 4-year-old, her name's Charlie. She's got curly hair just like mine. Little stinker, love her to death. Says just outlandish things. We went to a trampoline park, like the trampoline park yesterday, and we're just sitting taking a break because it's exhausting, especially like because I went to the gym that morning, and then we're doing that, and then she didn't sleep a whole bunch the night before because it was a Friday night, and so it's like, oh sweet, we're all here, but we're tired, and we're just sitting down, and she's like, I just wish this was our home. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I just wish we lived here. I wish this was our real home. I'm like, we can't live at a trampoline park. People don't live here. She's like, I know, I just wish we could. And it's really sweet, innocent conversations like that. That's just always like, oh my goodness. It's always so fun. She's talks up a storm, and it's, I don't know. You can't help but listen to what she has to say because you never know what's going to pop out.
And it is now time for that segment once again. Cameron Seddon's Bizarre Adventure. You're a wrestling journey up and down the road and weird, crazy, and bizarre things have bound to happen. Tell us a road story that fits that description.
Oh, my most bizarre story. Oh man. Gosh, in terms of just like twists and turns and like what was going on, I would have to say probably the New Jersey trip with Mouse, Bill, and Cole. We had just went to the hybrid show, and it was like on the pavilion of a casino, and I'm there, and like this is my first big wrestling event. Like I had never been around JCW, anything like that, GCW, any of the bigger promotions, and I'm just sitting there eating this like pepperoni sub, and I see Bill take off. Like we're just all sitting, and she just takes off, and I'm like, "Oh, are we going?" And I start following, and I didn't realize she's sprinting in the direction of Brett Lauderdale, and I'm like, "Yes," because they get along, and boom, takes off, and I'm like, "Oh, let me sprint!" And I'm like, "Oh, now he sees two people coming up. Oh, that's Brett Lauderdale. Ooh!" And I turn around, and there's just Carlito.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, "Oh." Yeah, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I end up, I don't say anything either. And I just go sit down and I'm eating my pizza sub. And I'm like, this is fine, normal. This is normal life. And I ended up getting a call literally minutes later that my cat had to be put down. So I was like, wow, we are on a very long emotional roller coaster today. So that's probably my most, it's life. It happens. It sucked, but hey, it is what it is. But in terms of like sheer twists and turns, weird things, I'd have to go with that little sequence of events for me so far. Yes.
And then you're leaving out the part where Carlito walks over to you, takes a bite of apple, and then spits it in your face.
Yeah. I don't like to be cool, so I would definitely be spat in the face of. I'm glad it's apple and not pepperoni sub.
And then he takes the apple and he plants it in the ground and waits 2 days for a tree to sprout.
Yes. And then he just takes every single apple off one by one, over and over again.
Yes.
And I'm like, why did I wait here for 2 days? And now I'm cleaning apple off my face. I'm like, how am I supposed to get home? Mouse and Bill already went back. It's Monday now. Jeez.
Well, that brings us to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Oh wow. So this was a heated debate for me this summer between me and a couple friends outside of wrestling. And they repeatedly were trying to get me in a position to try it because I had been an adamant no for the longest time. And then like it turned into an inquisitive maybe, and I never got around to trying it. And now that I've gone back to eating like regular pizza pretty regularly, I'm like, I don't know I think I'm gonna stick with this for the time being. Maybe we'll revisit the pineapple on pizza later, but for me right now, it's a no. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Were these friends wrestlers?
No, they were outside of wrestling.
Oh yeah.
The main one that was trying to influence me does roller derby and rugby. So it's like,
oh wow,
man, yeah.
And of course, you can hashtag choose your side. August 20th at Pizza Party Pro's Forbidden Food event.
Oh goodness, yes.
The unofficial sponsor. Alright, what's your spirit Pokemon?
My spirit Pokemon?
Yes.
Oh, man. Probably Bulbasaur.
Oh, good one.
Because very underappreciated. It's always like the third option. It's like, but Charmander and Pikachu, or Charmander and Squirtle, and it's like, but Bulbasaur, very well rounded, can do a lot. Yeah, but it's Bulbasaur, and it's like, oh, I relate, little guy. I relate.
Bulbasaur.
Yes, I too make strange noises. Also, it's we are very much in sync.
I could do a much better Jigglypuff anyway. So.
That was last week, buddy. I'm sorry. No.
I remember growing up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Continue. I cut you off.
Temporarily, while we're on the subject of Pokemon, I remember growing up. I had a gigantic, like, 1-to-1 scale Jigglypuff plush that I remember just adoring growing up, and that I had forgot about it until just now. So that was sweet to remember. That was funny.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Weirdest question you'll ever be asked on a wrestling podcast. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, Scooter.
Not the country.
An actual Rock.
A Rock?
Yes.
You know, yeah. I think without a doubt I would wrestle a Rock. I think it's a very interesting challenge to provide an entertaining match with a Rock. Do I get to pick the size of the Rock?
No, the Rock's size is already determined.
Okay. Yeah, I would still probably do it. I would still probably do it. If I get to meet the Rock at least an hour before bell time. Yes. I'm 100% down.
Alright, and just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual Rock for over 15 minutes in what was dubbed a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness. The world of wrestling is so large. Like, there's so much that I just never would have pondered in as every day that I learn something about wrestling, I'm just like, man.
Yes.
It's just nuts.
There are many wonders on YouTube.
Yeah, I have noticed.
And we love Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
I remember seeing it on a shirt legitimately not too long ago. No, I'm gonna have to tap out. I'm not gonna.
Scooter.
T is for terrible. H is for hell. U is for ugly. And G is for jail, 'cause a thug can't spell.
I love Tracy Smothers. I actually got to meet Tracy really early on in my career, and that was a really fun time.
Really? What could you tell us about your interaction with Tracy?
So this was at Supreme. For Supreme events, I would always get there like super early because we would do training before the show. I remember I would get there at like 3 and everybody else was rolling around like 4 or 5. I would spend like the extra ring time working on just movement, and if I had any aerial moves I wanted to try, I would certainly work on those then. And Tracy rolls in around 3:30 and just hobbling in, saying hi to everybody, and he's just like, where's the locker room? And we'd tell him. And we just don't see him for like the next 2 hours, and we're like, this building is the size of like a couple rooms. I know he's not like lost or anything. Like, let's go check on him. We go check on him. He's just asleep on the benches in the locker room. And I'm like, oh That right there, he gets it. He gets it. And I was like, you're an icon, Tracy. I love him.
That's just
Yeah,
awesome.
that's yes.
Probably the best interaction so far.
Yes, and it's just simply he went out there, he did his match, slept most of the night, slept after, and had a hell of a time doing it. It's just like salute to you, like that's amazing. I wish I could show up places, just sleep, wake up, do my match, come back, sleep, just sleep all the time, always tired.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, if I am given the lucky enough opportunity to still have a healthy body by that time frame, I would still love to be wrestling on the independents. I'd love to still be with shooters if the opportunity arises and all of our career paths lay out that way. But I think I'd like to see myself more in the East Coast area. And I would, this is probably like the first time like actually talking about it on like a wrestling platform. I'd love to be doing death matches at least at some point. I'm really, I'd like to kind of experience all aspects of wrestling, which would include death matches.
So you
And-
want to kind of
Go
go
ahead.
to you want to make your way out to H2O, don't you?
I would like to, yes.
Or no peace?
I've gotten anywhere really. Like I believe like the most local to in regards to where I'm stationed right now is AWR, and I believe like I don't know. I think it'd be something that I would enjoy getting to partake in and learn about and like really just indulge in. Like I really enjoy wrestling and being able to do both singles, tag, multi-man, scrambles, royals, all this and that, like different stipulation matches. I believe it's all really like
New opportunities.
a really fun thing to pursue. Yeah, like it's great to be able to experience so much wrestling in so many different ways and death matches and also like UWFI style matches. I'd really like to participate in and kind of see what I'm able to give to those mediums of wrestling.
You know, there's all types of weapons and, you know, interesting gimmicks in those types of matches. Is there something
Mhm.
you're interested in taking or using, and is there something that you are absolutely do not want to touch when it comes to deathmatch wrestling?
Okay, fair points. I think in terms of taking anything in, I don't necessarily like have any specific thing correlating to me that I would bring in. Kind of like the beauty of the unorthodox is just it can be whatever. So I would probably find our object in the venue on the way out, not necessarily bring anything with me, but always make that just part of it. I think that would be unique to see what I can piece together in different places. And then I don't know about Kienzan. I believe that is the name. I sound like a total idiot right now, but I saw Jeff Cannonball digging one out in Tremont, and oh man, whew. If it called for it, I'd definitely do it, but man, I prefer not to.
Exactly. Before not to do
Yeah.
it right now.
Yeah, just in case, you know. I'm losing my hair, but I feel like taking one of those would really accelerate the process for me.
And I mean, there's always that match down under. If you're willing to take a trip to Australia, we know Joe Bigman.
Oh, that'd be amazing just to get out there, but I definitely want to go after getting some under my belt, not necessarily as like a a first experience, just so that like
Right.
I could be able to hang if I get to that level ever.
We could connect him with Canada and Psycho Mike.
I don't think Psycho Mike wrestles actual human beings, though.
But the promotion does death matches, don't they?
Backyard quote?
Yeah, I'm not sure what Psycho Mike is up to these days anyway, so
I think he
moving
became a
on.
zombie, I don't know. Scooter, you were saying something?
No, I said moving on.
Moving on.
And what is a match that people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Cameron Saturn is all about?
I believe right now the two, like, I'm kind of torn. If you're looking for more of if you're looking for like a multi-man, see how I can do one of those, I would suggest checking out the match between that I just recently had in Colorado between myself, Nikki Nalumbo, and Fuji Brown that I have on my YouTube channel actually.
Oh, perfect.
And which is just Cameron Saturn on YouTube. Cameron Saturn Wrestler usually brings up specifically my page, but I really enjoyed that match. The crowd was really into that match. It was just a really unique venue, and I really liked working with both Nikki and Fuji. And I believe that it was able to really show off a lot. It was just, I don't know, it was a really big, it was like a moment, and especially to do it on like Joan Jetson's Big Queer Launch, which is like a queer focused show, was all of it as a moment was really enjoyable. And if you're looking for more singles, I'd say my recent match with Tanner Keeler for Hybrid Championship Wrestling, that you can see on IWTV, because I believe like I am ever changing and ever evolving as a wrestler. Like,
of course,
there's not a lot of moves that I hit repeatedly. Like, I try and continuously think of like new sequences and stuff to hit. And so I believe what will best show off Cameron Saturn is probably the most recent Cameron Saturn match at any time. And right now that's the match with Tanner. And I was really proud of that match. It was kind of one that just kind of came out of nowhere. Originally was supposed to face Sam Knight. He ended up having a medical emergency. And so we're like, what are we going to do on the fly? Here's Tanner Keeler. Let's see what we could put together. And I was like, sweet. I got to face Tanner when it was freezing cold in a building for Bittersweet Pro when they were doing a taping. And it was very cold. So we couldn't really throw chops or anything like that without breaking our fingers. Or so it would feel, because of how cold it was. So it was really nice to be able to come back to that and have that kind of harder hitting match where I can still be creative and think outside the box for it.
Isn't it awesome when, things don't go according to plan, but they still work out pretty damn well?
Yes, and I believe that's the beauty of wrestling, is that's kind of wrestling in a nutshell. Is this was the plan? It didn't really work, but we came up with this, and sometimes this is pretty good.
All right. I love when wrestlers have YouTube pages. It makes everything fantastic. I'll put the first match you mentioned in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox, for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it after this interview, and of course your YouTube page for all things Cameron Saturn matches, of course.
Yes, the ones that don't go up on IWTV will more than likely end up on my page.
Awesome. And since we're nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Oh, goodness.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Steve Austin.
Worst wrestler.
Man. Wow. Cara de Supremo.
We will accept that answer.
I believe you're our second guest ever to actually say themselves.
Man,
Or different
it's really
version
hard.
of themselves.
Yes, yeah.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Oh gosh. Oh man. In a Beautiful World, Cole Roderick.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music past or present, who would it be?
I'd go with Jeff Hardy. I gotta do it for the one time. I have to.
Is it No More Words or the original Hardy theme?
The original Hardy theme.
Alright, sweet. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Dead.
Squash, fruit or vegetable? Oh, no, Scooter. What was the alternative answer?
For kayfabe biz, we also would have accepted is quite good on toast.
Yes.
Squash, fruit or vegetable?
We grow it in my garden, so I'm gonna have to say vegetable, even if I'm wrong.
It's a fruit.
I figured everything's a fruit.
Tomato logic, my friend.
Yes, because I know a tomato is a fruit, but I don't know how far that rabbit hole goes.
You would be surprised. But of course you're part of Squash Squad now, and that means a hell of a lot more.
Heck yeah.
New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Oh wow. Man, it really depends. Controversial topic. I believe if you don't necessarily have a butt, like it's not a big deal. But if you do have a butt, I believe like a good 15% butt cheek, 85% trunk is a good ratio. It's enough, but it's not a lot. You're not indecent, but it's out there.
And then, obviously, if you don't, 100% coverage, right?
Yes.
Alright.
Because it gives you more space for logos or for designs, so that you don't have to sacrifice.
I think that's the first time we've had logos or designs into the answer before.
Yeah, I believe it's important. Like you've gotta be able to market yourself.
Yes.
For me, I don't like to put a lot on my trunks. I just put like my logo and like I pick a color I like, or I'll just pick a color. I'm like sweet, we're done, we did it. But I know for a lot of other wrestlers, I like to get really detailed, and I like to see what wrestlers can put together. So using your space wisely, yes.
You know, that's an underappreciated thing that not a lot of people get.
I believe that like wrestling is definitely like an expression based art form. Well, really all art is expression based, but wrestling more so I think than a lot of others, because you get to see every aspect of a person, from what they wear, how they present themselves, the music that they come out and react to, the moves they do, how they take moves, how they sell around the ring, how they talk, everything. Like all of that goes into a character in wrestling, and I believe to exclude any part of that as a focus is almost detrimental to like what wrestling is.
And the main event, the last question, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, I actually haven't. No, I haven't. I've had stranger conversations with pertaining to myself as a wrestler in a supermarket, but not with a stranger based on other wrestlers.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Cameron, for coming on and doing this with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. I had a really fun time. Really loved the premise of unorthodox questions to fit the unorthodox wrestler, and sure enough, you guys delivered. So it was really fun getting to answer questions like that.
Absolutely, we try to keep
Thank
it
you.
interesting on Wrestling Web.
Yeah, we look beyond the gimmick in our
I
words.
appreciate it.
And of course, once again, where can we find all things Cameron Saturn?
For all things Cameron Saturn, you can find me on social media under at Saturn Cameron, on Facebook, Cameron Saturn, YouTube, Cameron Saturn, and that's social media for me.
Right. And your, of course, your merchandise as well.
Yeah, for my merchandise, Brainbuster Tees at Cameron Saturn. We've got Shooters Don't Die shirts and stickers at shows. And if you can't get out to one of us to get Shooters Don't Die shirt, we have them on Miles, Don't Die Miles Brainbuster Tees account. So that you can pick up one and support the shooters.
Alright, and I mean, and all of those links will be in the description of the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox. No need to be typing into your Google machine. Simply go in the description, click the link, you will be on a new page. And I mean, you've been listening to him for just under an hour and a half. By a damn short. And, of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox, Google Podcast, and anywhere else you can find Wrestling Rant. Of course, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player Coffee. Join us next Wednesday as we have another interview. You can follow the show at Wrestling with E on both Twitter and Instagram. Check out our Twitter for updates on who will be interviewing, when, where, links, and more Wrestling with news as it comes. You can follow me at JamesJ993. You can follow Kaliko at I am Kaliko, and where can we find Scooter?
You can find me on the island of Ahava trying to hit villagers with a net, or you can find me on Twitter at Scooter Dust. Of course, find me, James, and Ryan Dust hosting the Remix on YouTube, a premium audio companion experience and alternate commentary for all your WWE Premium Live event needs. Next time we come to you will be sometime after Clash at the Castle. And of course, reveling in all my Twitch antics is me, along with Rico Constantino Jr. and the rest of the Smoking Dragons clan at twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons.
Now, Cameron, when I say Wrestling Wit, you say entertainment.
Gotcha.
For our very special guest, Cameron Saturn, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling Wit
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.